Update: my entitled sister burned down my restaurant full of customers because I wouldn't give her a free wedding venue. The security footage just got her convicted of 42 counts of attempted murder. Hi everyone! Today's story will blow your mind, but really quick, if you enjoy this content, hit that subscribe button. Channel's been a bit quiet lately, and your support keeps it all going. Let's jump in. Original post, posted to r/true off my chest. I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but I need to get this off my chest before I completely lose my mind. I'm James, 29M, and I own a small Italian restaurant in downtown Minneapolis that I've been building for the past 5 years. What started as a food truck evolved into my dream, a 40-seat restaurant called Nana's Table that I named after my late grandmother who taught me everything about cooking. My younger sister Rebecca, 23F, has always been what my family calls spirited. Growing up, if she didn't get her way, there would be hell to pay. My parents always gave in to avoid her tantrums, and I'll admit, I did too for most of our lives. When she didn't get the lead in the school play, she accidentally spilled paint on the costume of the girl who did. When her ex-boyfriend broke up with her in high school, his car tires mysteriously got slashed. My parents always made excuses. She was young, she was emotional, she'd grow out of it. She didn't grow out of it. 6 months ago, Rebecca got engaged to Tyler, 25M, a guy she'd been dating for about a year. I was genuinely happy for her. Maybe settling down would help her mature. When she came to me 4 months ago asking to use my restaurant for her wedding reception, I thought she meant she wanted to book it for a private event. I was more than willing to work with her on that. "No, James," she said, sitting across from me in my office above the kitchen. "I mean, I want it for free. Family doesn't charge family." I explained that I could give her a significant discount, but I couldn't afford to close on a Saturday night and provide free food and service for 150 guests. The loss would be close to $15,000 between the lost revenue, staff wages, and food costs. My restaurant operates on thin margins. We're successful, but not throw away 15 grand successful. Her face transformed in that familiar way I'd seen since childhood. "You're seriously going to charge your only sister for her wedding? After everything I've done for you?" I asked what she meant by everything she's done for me, considering I'd been the one who lent her $3,000 for her car down payment, never repaid, covered her rent for 3 months when she was between jobs, also never repaid, and had given her free meals at the restaurant at least twice a week since we opened. "That's what family does," she snapped. "And family also doesn't charge for weddings." Mom and Dad agree with me. She was right about our parents. They called me that night, my mother crying about how I was ruining Rebecca's special day, and my father saying I should be the bigger person. I stood firm. I offered her a 50% discount, which was already more than I could afford, but that was my limit. Rebecca didn't speak to me for 2 months. Then, 3 weeks ago, everything went to hell. It was a typical Friday night. We were fully booked, 40 seats filled, with a wait list. The kitchen was humming with controlled chaos, the kind that anyone in the restaurant business knows and loves. I was expediting orders when I smelled something wrong. Not burning food, I know that smell. This was chemical, acrid. The fire started in our storage area, right next to the kitchen's back exit. Within seconds, black smoke was pouring into the kitchen. I yelled for everyone to get out, grabbed the fire extinguisher, but the flames were already climbing the walls where we store our cleaning supplies and dry goods. The next few minutes were the most terrifying of my life. We had 40 customers in the dining room, including a family with 2 young children and an elderly couple celebrating their 50th anniversary. My sous chef, Michael, and I ran into the dining room, yelling for everyone to evacuate immediately. The smoke was already seeping in, and people were starting to panic. The elderly gentleman, Robert, could barely walk. Michael and I had to practically carry him while his wife, Linda, sobbed beside us. One of my servers, Jennifer, grabbed both children while their parents fumbled with their belongings. I screamed at them to leave everything and just go. We got everyone out. Every single person made it out safely, though several were treated for smoke inhalation. But my restaurant, my dream, it was destroyed. The fire department arrived within minutes, but the damage was done. The kitchen was gutted, the storage area completely destroyed, and smoke damage throughout the dining room. The investigators' preliminary assessment was that it looked like an electrical fire that started near our storage area's outlet. I was devastated but grateful. Buildings can be rebuilt. Those families, those children, Robert and Linda, they could have died in my restaurant. The thought still makes me physically ill. Then, 2 days later, while I was at the site meeting with insurance adjusters, one of my servers, Ashley, called me. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her. "James, I need to tell you something. I saw Rebecca's car in the alley that night. about an hour before the fire. I didn't think anything of it because she's your sister. But James, she was near the back door, the staff entrance. I saw her when I went out for a break. My blood went cold. I asked Ashley if she was absolutely certain. I'm positive. She was wearing that distinctive purple jacket she always wears, the one with the rhinestones. She saw me and waved, said she was dropping something off for you. I never received anything from her that night. I immediately called my insurance company and told them what Ashley had seen. They said they would pass the information to the fire investigators. That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, I've been living in a nightmare. The restaurant is closed indefinitely. My 12 employees are out of work, though I'm trying to pay them what I can from my savings. The insurance process is moving at a glacial pace. And Rebecca. She posted on Facebook about how karma has a way of teaching lessons to selfish people the day after the fire. My parents refuse to believe she could have done this. They think I'm paranoid, that I'm trying to blame her because I'm angry about the wedding situation. But I know my sister. I know what she's capable of when she feels wronged. The investigation is ongoing. The fire department has upgraded it from accidental to suspicious based on some evidence they found, but they won't tell me what. I've hired a lawyer because I have a feeling I'm going to need one. I don't know what to do. If she really did this, if she really set fire to my restaurant out of spite, endangering all those innocent people, I don't think I can ever forgive her. Family or not, there are lines you don't cross. I just needed to get this out. I feel like I'm going insane keeping this all inside while we wait for the investigation to conclude. Those families could have died. Those children, they could have died because my sister didn't get a free wedding venue. I don't know how to process this. Update 1, 2 weeks later. I can't believe I'm writing this update, but things have gotten so much worse that I need to document everything in case something happens to me. Yes, I'm genuinely concerned for my safety at this point. After my initial post, I received a formal letter from Rebecca's attorney. She's claiming that I'm defaming her by spreading malicious rumors about her involvement in the fire. But that's not the worst part. She's gone on the offensive in a way I never saw coming, even from her. Rebecca has filed a complaint with the city, claiming that the fire was caused by my negligent maintenance of kitchen equipment, and that I'm trying to blame her to deflect from my own liability. She's telling anyone who will listen that I'm a slumlord restaurant owner who put profits over safety, and now I'm trying to frame my own sister to avoid responsibility. She's been incredibly strategic about this. She went to the local news station with tears in her eyes, playing the victim. My brother is destroying our family with these accusations, she told a reporter, dabbing at her perfectly dry eyes. I was at home with my fiancé that night. I haven't been to his restaurant in months because he made it clear I wasn't welcome when he refused to help with my wedding. Tyler backed her up, of course, claiming they were watching Netflix together. But here's the thing, Ashley isn't the only one who saw her. After her interview aired, I received a call from Nathan, one of my regular customers. He said he saw Rebecca's car parked 2 blocks away around 8 p.m. that night, which would have been about 30 minutes before Ashley saw her in the alley. He remembered because he thought it was strange she'd park so far from the restaurant if she was visiting. I've turned all of this information over to the investigators, but Rebecca has been one step ahead. She's hired a high-profile attorney, Christopher Daniels, known for taking on David versus Goliath cases. They're building a narrative that I'm a negligent business owner who's wealthy enough to refuse helping his sister's wedding but too cheap to maintain proper safety standards. The worst part? Some people are buying it. The restaurant's Facebook page has been flooded with comments calling me a monster, saying I'm trying to destroy my sister's life to cover my own mistakes. Someone even posted my personal address, and I've had to stay with my friend Michael for the past week after finding my apartment door vandalized with the word liar spray painted across it. My parents are completely on Rebecca's side now. My mother called me sobbing, begging me to stop this madness and admit the truth. When I asked her what truth she wanted me to admit, she said, "Just tell them it was an accident, that you didn't mean for anyone to get hurt with your poor maintenance." Even they think I'm guilty of negligence now. But here's what Rebecca doesn't know. The investigators found something. They won't tell me exactly what yet, but Detective Patricia Santos pulled me aside yesterday and said, "Mr. Johnson, we're taking this very seriously. I can't share details of an ongoing investigation, but I want you to know that we have reason to believe the fire was intentionally set. Please be patient with us." She also strongly suggested I install security cameras at my apartment and vary my daily routine. The fact that a detective is telling me to take safety precautions tells me everything I need to know about how serious this is. Meanwhile, the elderly couple from that night, Robert and Linda, reached out to me. They don't believe Rebecca's story for a second. That young woman who helped us, Linda said, referring to Jennifer, she told us how you ran back in to make sure everyone was out. No negligent owner does that. They've offered to be character witnesses if this goes to court. The family with the children has also been supportive. The father, Brian, is actually a firefighter in a neighboring district. He told me that based on what he saw that night and his experience, there's no way that fire pattern came from an electrical malfunction. I've seen hundreds of electrical fires, he said. They don't spread like that, and they definitely don't smell like accelerant. I've had to close my social media accounts due to the harassment. My lawyer, Sharon Martinez, says this is actually good for any future case. Rebecca is establishing a clear pattern of harassment and defamation. But it doesn't feel good. It feels like my life is falling apart. The restaurant remains closed. Even if insurance covers the repairs, the damage to my reputation might be irreversible. Rebecca has successfully turned this into a public relations nightmare. 3 of my investors have already pulled out, citing concerns about the controversy. But I'm not giving up. I know the truth, and apparently, so do the investigators. I just have to survive long enough for it to come out. The irony isn't lost on me. Rebecca wanted my restaurant for her wedding. Now, there might not even be a restaurant left by the time her wedding date arrives. Though something tells me the wedding might be postponed indefinitely once the truth comes out. I'll update again when I can. In the meantime, I'm documenting everything, staying with friends, and praying that justice prevails before Rebecca escalates even further. Because if there's one thing I know about my sister, it's that she never stops escalating until she wins or gets caught. Final update, 4 months later. I'm writing this from my newly reopened restaurant. Yes, you read that right, we're back in business. But let me tell you how we got here, because it's been one hell of a journey. 2 weeks after my last update, Detective Santos called me at 6 a.m. Mr. Johnson, we need you to come to the station immediately. Bring your lawyer. I've never driven somewhere so fast in my life. When Sharon and I arrived, Detective Santos laid out what they discovered, and even knowing Rebecca was likely guilty, I wasn't prepared for the extent of her planning. The investigation had uncovered several crucial pieces of evidence. First, the accelerant. The fire investigators found traces of industrial degreaser mixed with ethanol in the storage area. This specific combination is used in commercial cleaning supplies, the exact type used at the medical equipment facility where Rebecca works as an administrative assistant. The investigators subpoenaed her workplace and found that 2 bottles of this cleaner had gone missing from their supply closet the week before the fire. Second, the security footage. While my restaurant's cameras were old and didn't cover the alley, the bank across the street had recently upgraded their system. Their cameras caught Rebecca entering the alley at 7:47 p.m. and leaving at 8:03 p.m., exactly when Ashley said she saw her. But more importantly, the footage showed Rebecca carrying a bag into the alley and leaving without it. Third, the digital trail. Rebecca had been researching how long before an electrical fire starts and delayed ignition sources on her work computer. IT pulled her search history after the subpoena. She'd also searched for how to make electrical fires look accidental and, I kid you not, can accelerants be traced? But the nail in the coffin? Rebecca had texted her friend Melissa 2 days before the fire, "James is going to regret not giving me what I deserve. Watch what happens to people who cross me." They arrested Rebecca that morning at her apartment. According to Detective Santos, she initially tried to maintain her innocence, but when confronted with the evidence, she broke down and admitted everything, sort of. She claimed she only meant to cause minor damage to teach me a lesson, that she never intended for it to spread so quickly or for anyone to be in danger. The truth was even more disturbing. Rebecca had set up a delayed ignition using the degreaser and a modified electrical timer she'd bought online. She thought it would start a small fire after closing time when no one would be there. What she didn't account for was that we'd been staying open later due to high demand, and her timer went off while we were still fully operational. She's been charged with first-degree arson, 42 counts of attempted murder, 1 for each person in the restaurant that night, destruction of property, and insurance fraud for trying to pin it on my negligence. The prosecutor, Kevin Mitchell, told me they're pushing for the maximum sentence. We're looking at 25 to life if convicted on all charges. Tyler left her the day after her arrest. Turns out, he had no idea what she'd been planning and is horrified. He's actually testified for the prosecution, revealing that Rebecca had been obsessively talking about making me pay for weeks before the fire. My parents, they've been completely shattered by this. My mother had a breakdown when she learned the truth and has been in therapy ever since. She can't reconcile the daughter she raised with someone who would endanger innocent lives over a petty grudge. My father aged 10 years in 2 weeks. He came to me with tears in his eyes, apologizing for not believing me, for enabling Rebecca's behavior all these years. "We created this monster," he said. "We never held her accountable, and now look what happened." I told them they need to focus on getting help for themselves. Our family is broken, possibly beyond repair, but that's not my priority right now. The community response, once the truth came out, has been overwhelming. The same people who had been harassing me online pivoted to supporting the restaurant. A GoFundMe started by Robert and Linda raised over $75,000 to help with repairs and lost wages for my staff. Local contractors offered discounted services. The bank that had the security footage even offered me a low-interest loan to cover what insurance didn't. Brian, the firefighter whose family was in the restaurant that night, organized a Rebuild Nana's Table event where dozens of volunteers helped with the cleanup and restoration. His kids drew pictures that now hang on our new community wall, a section of the restaurant dedicated to the people who helped us come back. We reopened 2 months ago with a soft launch for the families who were there that night. Robert and Linda were our first official customers. There wasn't a dry eye in the house when they raised their glasses to toast, to second chances and the truth coming to light. Business has been better than ever. I think people appreciate that we survived something terrible and came back stronger. I've hired back all my original staff and added 3 more positions. Jennifer, who helped evacuate the families that night, is now my assistant manager. As for Rebecca, her trial starts next month. I've been told to expect it to last at least 2 weeks. She's facing the very real possibility of spending the rest of her life in prison. The prosecutor says that given the premeditation and the number of lives endangered, even with a plea deal, she's looking at minimum 15 years. I've had to come to terms with the fact that my sister is gone, not physically, but the person I thought she was never really existed. The Rebecca I grew up with, who I protected and made excuses for, was always capable of this. It just took 23 years for her to escalate to attempted mass murder. I've been in therapy myself, dealing with the guilt. If I had pressed charges for her earlier acts of vandalism and violence, if I hadn't enabled her alongside my parents, would it have come to this? My therapist, Dr. Kimberly Chen, keeps reminding me that Rebecca's choices were her own, but it's hard not to wonder. The restaurant now has state-of-the-art fire suppression systems and security cameras covering every inch of the property. We conduct monthly safety drills. I'll never again take for granted the responsibility I have to keep my customers and staff safe. Some people have asked if I'll testify at Rebecca's trial. The answer is yes. Not out of revenge, but because those 40 innocent people deserve justice. Those 2 children who could have died deserve to know that someone is being held accountable. Robert and Linda, celebrating 5 decades of marriage, deserve to know that their near-death experience meant something. I've also started a foundation called Safe Tables that helps small restaurants upgrade their safety equipment. It's funded partly by the excess from the GoFundMe and partly by monthly fundraising dinners at the restaurant. We've already helped 3 other small restaurants install better fire suppression systems. Rebecca wrote me a letter from jail last week. I haven't opened it. Sharon, my lawyer, read it and said it's full of blame, accusations, and demands for me to make this right by refusing to testify. Classic Rebecca, even facing life in prison, she's still the victim in her own mind. The wedding, obviously, never happened. The venue she'd originally booked before demanding my restaurant sent me a sympathy card and a donation to the Safe Tables Foundation. It turns out she'd also tried to strong-arm them into giving her a free reception and had harassed their staff when they refused. They were relieved when she had to cancel. This whole experience has taught me something valuable. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Rebecca showed us who she was from childhood, someone who would destroy property and hurt others when she didn't get her way. We just never believed she'd escalate this far. But she did. And now she'll face the consequences. My restaurant is full again tonight. I can see families laughing, couples on dates, friends catching up over wine and pasta. The new smoke detectors are silent, the sprinkler system ready but unneeded. My staff moves through the dining room with confidence, knowing they're safe. We survived. We rebuilt. And we're thriving. That's all I could have asked for. Epilogue. 6 months after reopening. Rebecca was convicted on all charges. She received 30 years to life, with the possibility of parole after 20 years. She'll be 43 before she has her first parole hearing. The judge called her actions unconscionably reckless and driven by a narcissistic rage that nearly resulted in mass casualties. During the victim impact statements, I watched Robert struggle to the podium with his walker, his voice shaking as he described the terror of that night. The mother of the 2 young children broke down sobbing as she talked about her kids' nightmares, how they're still afraid of restaurants. Every single person who was there that night submitted a statement, either in person or in writing. When it was my turn, I talked about the employees who could have died in that kitchen, the families who came to celebrate and almost never made it home, the year of our lives lost to fear and rebuilding. But I also talked about the community that rose up to support us, the way tragedy can sometimes bring out the best in people, even when it's been caused by the worst. Rebecca showed no remorse during the trial. Even when the security footage was played, showing her carrying accelerants into my restaurant, she sat stone-faced. Her defense attorney tried to argue for diminished capacity due to emotional distress from wedding planning, which the jury rejected in less than 2 hours of deliberation. My parents have sold their house and moved to Florida. They couldn't bear to stay in the same town where everyone knows their daughter as the woman who tried to burn down a restaurant full of people. We talk once a month, stilted conversations full of things we can't say. They're in therapy, both individual and couples counseling, trying to understand how they missed the signs for so long. The restaurant has become something more than I ever imagined. We host free monthly dinners for first responders, the ones who saved us that night and continue to keep our community safe. The community wall has grown to cover 2 walls now, filled with photos, drawings, and letters from customers who've become like family. Ashley, who first spotted Rebecca that night, went back to school to become a fire investigator, inspired by Detective Santos and the team that uncovered the truth. Jennifer, my assistant manager, is saving up to open her own restaurant. I've promised to be her first investor. The Safe Tables Foundation has helped 15 restaurants now, and we're partnering with the State Restaurant Association to push for better safety regulations and more affordable upgrades for small businesses. Brian, the firefighter, serves on our board and conducts free safety training sessions. I still have nightmares sometimes. I wake up smelling smoke that isn't there, hearing alarms that aren't ringing. Dr. Chen says this might never fully go away, and that's okay. It's part of surviving trauma. But the nightmares are less frequent now, replaced more often by dreams of a full restaurant, the sound of laughter and clinking glasses. There's a quote from my grandmother, the one the restaurant is named after, that I had engraved on a plaque by the entrance. La famiglia non è sempre sang. A volti e l'upason che segli di amare. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people you choose to love. The people who rushed to evacuate strangers that night, who donated their time and money to rebuild, who continue to fill these tables every evening, they're my family now. They're the family I choose. As for Rebecca, she's become a cautionary tale, a reminder that enabling destructive behavior doesn't help anyone. I hope she gets help in prison, though her letters suggest she still sees herself as the victim. I've stopped reading them. That chapter of my life is closed. Tonight, as I write this, the restaurant is preparing for another full service. The new fire suppression system gleams overhead, the security cameras blink steadily, and my staff moves with practiced confidence through their prep work. In 2 hours, these seats will be filled with people trusting us to keep them safe while they enjoy a meal. It's a responsibility I'll never take lightly again. Nana's Table isn't just a restaurant anymore. It's a symbol of resilience, of community, of what happens when good people stand together against someone who would do them harm. It's proof that you can rebuild from ashes, literally and figuratively. And that's exactly what we've done.